In November 2022, a brutal and mysterious crime shocked the small town of Moscow, Idaho. Four University of Idaho students Bryan Kohberger, Madison Mogan, Shauna Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were found murdered in their off-campus residence. The community was thrown into a state of panic. Police began investigating the quadruple homicide. Weeks went by without significant progress, leaving the public on edge and searching for answers. The eventual arrest of Bryan Kohberger, a Ph.D. criminology student at Washington State University, sent shockwaves through the nation. A crime of this magnitude was rare in a place like Moscow, and the fact that the suspect was a student of criminology only deepened the public's fascination with the case. Welcome to Whispers in the Dark, where we explore the darkest corners of true crime. In today's video, we're diving deep into the Idaho College murders, a case that has left families shattered, a community haunted, and a country seeking answers. As we unravel the details of this tragic case, please be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our in-depth coverage of chilling true crime stories. Now, let's begin. We start with the four young victims, whose lives were cruelly taken from them on that fateful November night. Bryan Kohberger, 21, was a senior at the University of Idaho, majoring in general studies. Friends and family described Kaylee as a charismatic, lively, and adventurous individual who had dreams of traveling the world after graduation. She grew up in Rathdrum, Idaho, and had a tight-knit family who was heartbroken by her untimely death. Kaylee shared a special bond with Madison Mogan, one of the other victims, and the two had been best friends since childhood. She had a close relationship with her parents and was excited to start her career after graduation. Madison and Kaylee were inseparable, and their families often referred to them as soul sisters. They were roommates in the house where the crime took place. Shauna Kernodle, 20, was a junior studying marketing, like Madison, and had recently started dating Ethan Chapin, who was also one of the victims. Shauna was described as an independent and strong-willed individual, full of energy and laughter. She had a great group of friends and loved to spend time socializing. Shauna was originally from Avondale, Arizona, but had made Idaho her second home. Ethan Chapin, 20, was a freshman at the University of Idaho, majoring in recreation, sport, and tourism management. Ethan was from Conway, Washington, and was part of a large family. He had two siblings who were triplets. He was known for being a fun-loving, kind-hearted person who enjoyed playing sports and attending college events. Ethan and Shauna had been dating for a while, and they shared a close bond. The four students had gathered at the off-campus house on November 12th to celebrate and enjoy the weekend. What was meant to be a typical Saturday night turned into a nightmare that would change the course of their family's life. In the early hours of November 13th, 2022, something horrific happened inside the students' off-campus residence. At approximately noon, a 911 call was made by one of the surviving roommates, reporting an unconscious person. When law enforcement arrived at the house, they were greeted by a scene of utter horror. Inside the residence, the bodies of Kaylee, Madison, Shauna, and Ethan were found, each of them stabbed to death, in what appeared to be a targeted attack. The authorities were initially at a loss. There were no immediate signs of forced entry, and the surviving roommates had not heard or witnessed the attack. The killer had seemingly slipped in and out of the house without leaving an obvious trail. News of the murders quickly spread across Moscow, sending waves of fear through the community. The quiet, peaceful town had never experienced anything like this. The timeline. On the evening of November 12th, Kaylee and Madison had been at a local bar, while Shauna and Ethan had attended a fraternity party. The four students returned home in the early hours of the morning. It is believed that the attack occurred sometime between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. The killer's exact movements and motivations remain unclear, but investigators later determined that the attack may have been premeditated and that one or more of the victims may have been specifically targeted. As the Moscow Police Department began investigating the murders, they faced intense pressure from the public and media. For weeks, there were few leads, and the case seemed to be stalling. Investigators combed through the house for evidence, interviewed witnesses, and reviewed security footage from the surrounding area, but no clear suspect emerged. The lack of progress led to growing anxiety within the community. Rumors spread like wildfire, and social media became a hotbed for speculation. Online sleuths pored over every detail of the case, offering their own theories and pointing fingers at various individuals. Some even accused the surviving roommates of being involved, though there was no evidence to support these claims. In modern criminal investigations, technology often plays a crucial role, and the Idaho College murders case was no exception. Investigators relied heavily on digital forensics to piece together the events of that night. This included tracking the victims' cell phone data, analyzing their social media activity, and reviewing surveillance footage from nearby businesses. However, despite their best efforts, the police were still struggling to make a breakthrough. The families of the victims became increasingly frustrated with the lack of progress in the investigation. They held press conferences and vigils, pleading with the public to come forward with any information that might help solve the case. The weight of the tragedy was almost unbearable, and the absence of justice only added to their grief. The investigation took a dramatic turn in late December 2022, when authorities made a shocking announcement. They had arrested a suspect in the case. The suspect was identified as Bryan Kohberger, a 28-year-old criminology student at Washington State University, which was located just a short drive from Moscow. The arrest of Kohberger stunned both the local community and the nation. The idea that a criminology student, a person studying the science of crime, could be responsible for such a heinous act was almost incomprehensible. People began asking how someone who had dedicated their academic career to understanding criminal behavior could allegedly carry out such a brutal crime. Kohberger's arrest was the result of extensive forensic work, including the analysis of DNA evidence found at the crime scene. According to investigators, DNA from the crime scene matched a sample taken from Kohberger, leading to his arrest. In addition to the DNA evidence, phone records placed Kohberger near the victim's house in the weeks leading up to the murders, further implicating him in the crime. Following his arrest, Bryan Kohberger's background quickly became a subject of intense scrutiny. Kohberger had been pursuing a Ph.D. in criminology at Washington State University, where he worked as a teaching assistant. He had previously earned a master's degree in criminal justice from DeSales University, where he was described as an intelligent but socially awkward student. Those who knew Kohberger painted a picture of a complex individual. Some described him as quiet and introverted, while others recalled him as being opinionated and eager to debate about criminal theories. He was known to have a deep fascination with criminal psychology and often engaged in conversations about notorious killers and their motivations. The survey, which had been posted online, raised questions about whether Kohberger had been using his academic research as a way to better understand how to commit the perfect crime. Despite the arrest, many questions remained unanswered. What was Kohberger's motive? Did he act alone, or were others involved? And how did a seemingly normal criminology student turn into a suspect in one of the most brutal murders in Idaho's history? As the legal proceedings began, Bryan Kohberger was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary. He pleaded not guilty to the charges, and his defense team began preparing for what promised to be a lengthy and high-profile trial. The case against Kohberger was built on a combination of forensic evidence, digital footprints, and circumstantial evidence. The prosecution argued that Kohberger had been stalking the victims in the weeks leading up to the murders, and that the attack was premeditated. They also highlighted the DNA evidence, which they claimed was a direct link between Kohberger and the crime scene. Kohberger's defense team, however, sought to cast doubt on the reliability of the forensic evidence. They questioned the methods used to collect and analyze the DNA and suggested that Kohberger had been wrongly accused. The defense also pointed to the fact that no eyewitnesses had seen Kohberger at the crime scene, and there was no clear motive for the killings. The Idaho College murders quickly became one of the most closely followed true crime cases in recent memory. The media covered every development in the case, from the initial investigation to Kohberger's arrest and subsequent legal battles. True crime podcasts, YouTube channels, and social media accounts dedicated countless hours to analyzing the case, with some amateur sleuths even claiming to have uncovered new evidence. While some praised the media for bringing attention to the case, others criticized the way the story was sensationalized. The families of the victims were often overwhelmed by the constant coverage and felt that their loved ones were being reduced to mere characters in a true crime saga. The murders had a profound impact on the University of Idaho and the town of Moscow. The university implemented new security measures, including increased police presence and enhanced safety protocols. Students were offered counseling services, and many expressed a lingering sense of fear and unease. In the broader community, the crime shattered the sense of security that had long defined Moscow. For years, the town had been seen as a safe and idyllic place to live and study. But the events of November 2022 changed that perception forever. Many residents struggled to come to terms with the fact that such a horrific crime could happen in their own backyard. The Idaho College murders is a case that continues to capture the nation's attention. As the legal battle unfolds and new details emerge, we may eventually get answers to the questions that have haunted the victims' families and the public. For now, the community of Moscow, Idaho, remains forever changed by the tragedy that took place in November 2022. Thank you for watching this episode of Whispers in the Dark. We appreciate your support as we continue to cover the most intriguing and heartbreaking true crime cases. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay safe and keep your whispers in the dark.